My name is Marcus. I'm a videographer. I filmed over 50 weddings, but none of them prepared me for this one. When I got the call, I thought I had hit the jackpot. A destination wedding on the Big Island, every videographer's dream. The bride, Elena Whitmore, daughter of tech billionaire Richard Whitmore. But when I saw the location, that excitement twisted into unease. A cemetery. I'd seen it during the location scout, Bonaventure, one of Hawaii's most famous cemeteries. A Victorian cathedral loomed over rows of headstones, standing sentinel over generations of the dead. It was hauntingly beautiful, perfect for Elena's gothic romantic vision, but still unsettling. It's definitely unique, I said, as I packed my gear. The groom okay with it? Blake? He'd marry her in a gas station if she asked. Jamie, my assistant, laughed. That man is gone for her. Over the next 3 days, I filmed everything. The rehearsal dinner at a historic mansion, the bridesmaids' spa day, Blake's nervous toast at the groom's dinner, hundreds of hours of footage. But it wasn't the big moments that got to me, it was the small ones, the ones nobody else seemed to notice. During the rehearsal at Bonaventure, Elena stumbled near a particular grave. The inscription was weathered but still legible. Constance Mercer, 1847 to 1869. Beloved daughter. Her love was eternal, her end was cruel. When I reviewed the footage that night, I slowed the clip down, frame by frame. The moment she stumbled, her face changed. Just for a fraction of a second. Rage, maybe. Grief so deep it looked like fury. Then it was gone, and she was laughing again, letting Blake steady her. I rubbed my eyes. 18-hour days, the heat maybe. I was seeing things. But later, while editing in my hotel room, I found something else. In every shot of Elena near that grave, the audio picked up a faint whisper beneath the ambient sound. I isolated it, amplified it, and then ran it through my software. A woman's voice, barely audible. Mine. It was mine. The wedding day dawned overcast. The sky was bruised purple that threatened rain but never delivered. I arrived at the cemetery before sunrise to get my establishing shots. Elena's dressing room was in the old Victorian chapel, once a funeral parlor. I filmed her getting ready. The makeup artist brushed foundation over her skin while the hairdresser pinned vintage roses into her updo. Elena kept glancing toward the windows that overlooked Constance Mercer's grave. You okay? Her maid of honor, Sophia, asked. I keep thinking about her, Elena said softly. The woman buried out there, Constance. She was only 22 when she died, same age as me. Hey, don't get morbid on your wedding day, Sophia laughed. Save the ghost stories for the reception. But Elena didn't laugh. She just stared at her reflection, reaching up to touch her face, as if checking she was still real. She drowned, she whispered. I looked her up. She was engaged to be married, but her fiancé left her for someone else. She walked into the river wearing her wedding dress. They found her 3 days later. The makeup artist froze. How do you know that? Elena blinked, confusion flashing across her features. I don't know. I just know. I kept filming, but my skin prickled. The temperature in that room had dropped. My breath fogged in front of the lens. The ceremony started at sunset, exactly how Elena had wanted. Guests sat in folding chairs arranged around Constance Mercer's grave. She had specifically requested that spot, though she couldn't say why. The officiant stood beneath an arch woven with black roses and white lilies. Blake waited at the altar, handsome and nervous, his eyes locked on the chapel entrance. I set my camera position. Jamie covered the second angle. Then Elena appeared. Through my viewfinder, I watched her glide down the aisle, but with each step, something changed. Her smile stiffened, too wide. Her eyes darkened, hollowing out. By the time she reached Blake, she looked like she was floating, her feet barely touching the ground. Dearly beloved, the officiant began. Elena swayed. Blake reached for her hand. Babe, you good? I zoomed in, froze. Her face rippled like water. For an instant, another face flashed beneath hers, older, gaunt, hollow-eyed. Then it was gone. I'm perfect, Elena said, but her voice, it wasn't hers anymore. When the official asked if she took Blake as her husband, she said, "I do," and squeezed his hand until he winced. Then, as he began his vows, she cut him off. "Wait!" Her voice was sharp. "Wrong. He doesn't love me. He never loved me. He promised me forever, and then he betrayed me with her." She turned toward the front row, toward Blake's mother, but she wasn't looking at her. She was staring at the empty chair beside her. "Elena, what's wrong?" Blake tried to pull free, but she held tight. "You chose her," Elena snarled. "You said I wasn't refined enough, wasn't pale enough, wasn't rich enough, so I made myself pale. I made myself cold enough to match your heart. I walked into that river in my mama's wedding dress and I waited. I waited for you, Thomas." "My name is Blake," he whispered. 156 years, she said, eyes rolling white. "I have waited in the water, in the dark, in the ground, and then you brought her here, a bride to replace the one stolen from me." Her head snapped at an impossible angle. Guest screamed. I couldn't stop filming. "Thank you, Thomas," she said, tears of black water running down her cheeks. "Thank you for bringing me someone to wear." Elena collapsed. Blake caught her as chaos exploded around them. People screamed for a doctor. Her mother pushed through the crowd, but I just kept filming. Through the viewfinder, the air around her shimmered, and in those ripples I saw another figure superimposed over Elena's body, Constance Mercer, eyes closed, face slack with relief. "Get back," someone shouted. An elderly woman appeared, moving fast despite her age. "You all need to move now." "Who the hell are you?" Richard Whitmore barked. "Delphine Baptiste," she said. "I'm a root worker and your daughter's got something on her that don't belong." She sprinkled a salt and herb mix in a circle around Elena's body. "This is insane," Blake said. "Boy, your fiancé just called you Thomas and talked about drowning herself in 1869. That ain't no heat stroke," Delphine shot back. "I've been keeping watch over Constance Mercer's grave for 40 years. Every time there's a wedding near her plot, she gets restless. But this," she gestured around, "you invited her in." Elena's eyes snapped open, murky green like river water. "You can't stop me, Delphine," she said, her voice entirely different. "I've been invited, welcomed. She called to me." "3 nights ago," Constance went on, "your bride stood at my grave and wished she could ask me about love. She opened the door." Blake shook his head, desperate. "That's not true." "Ask her," Constance said, and suddenly Elena came back, crying, "Blake, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Then Constance surged forward again, forcing Elena's body to rise. Guests ran as she moved toward the river. "She invited me in," Constance hissed, "and now I'm going to finish what I started." Delphine chanted something low and rhythmic. Frost crept over the tombstones. The air itself seemed to freeze. Blake ran after Elena, grabbing her shoulders. "Elena, if you can hear me, fight her, please." At the riverbank, Constance turned Elena's face towards him. Two faces, one living, one dead, merged for an instant. "She doesn't love you enough to fight me," Constance taunted. "Maybe not," Blake said quietly. "But I love her enough to let her go if that's what she wants." Then Elena screamed, two voices at once, one human, one hollow. "That ain't love, child," Delphine said softly. "That's grief wearing love's face." She pressed her hand to Elena's forehead. The air filled with whispering. Something black and smoky poured from Elena's mouth, forming into the shape of Constance Mercer above the river. She looked young again, beautiful but broken. Delphine spoke gently. "Your end doesn't have to be cruel anymore, Constance. You can rest." For a long moment, nothing. Then Constance wept, clear tears this time. "Thomas never came back," she whispered. "I know, honey," Delphine said. "That was his sin, not yours." Constance turned toward the river. This time she didn't sink. She walked across the surface until she dissolved into the moonlight. Elena collapsed into Blake's arms, sobbing, herself again. I filmed for another hour. The aftermath, the paramedics, Elena wrapped in Blake's jacket. Guests drifted away in shock. Richard Whitmore tried to buy silence with money. Delphine refused it, packing her things and warning them never to hold a ceremony over an angry grave again. Blake and Elena sat together on a bench by the river, silent silhouettes against the darkening sky. Jamie's hands shook as he packed up the gear. You gonna use any of this? I looked through the camera one last time at the still water, the grave beyond it. I don't know, I said. Would you believe it if you saw it? I was here and I barely believe it. Comment down your thoughts on the video and what type of stories you would like to see next.